Israel's messaging is just like, it's indefensible. And what I'm gonna show here is a video about the mass graves that they discovered in Gaza, from the hospitals. That are like around 300 bodies, a lot of them tied up and obviously executed. And this is from an Israeli politician.
And this is the second one.
Yeah,
this is the second mass grave. Just for everyone listening, like second one, 300 bodies by a hospital.
And the interview is with a Israeli politician. She's the deputy mayor of Jerusalem. Her name is Fleur Hassan Nahum, and she's asked like what her thoughts are about this. So let me see if I can add this to the stage. Okay.
Three corpses found in a mass grave at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. The UN Human Rights Chief has said he is absolutely horrified. Who do you think those bodies are?
Probably terrorists, because the ratio of combatant to innocent that Israel has is unprecedented in modern warfare. We know we've killed about...
I want to pause right there. I bet it is unprecedented, that ratio. Probably not the way you're suggesting, but I bet that is true. It's probably the only true thing she's going to say right here. Let's go.
15,000 terrorists. There was a terrible battle in those areas. So the chances are...
How do you think these people died?
In gun battles with Israel.
Why do you think some of the bodies were found with ties around their hands?
Well, because we probably arrested the terrorists.
And then killed them.
Well, I don't know if the terrorists fought back. I wasn't there. But all I can tell you is that this has been a very difficult urban warfare, that nobody on earth has experienced this type of warfare, where the terrorists are hiding in tunnels, where they're...
Just there's about a minute left, Leah. So if you want to say something, you raise your hand. I'll pause it so you can add something in there. But
cowards, because they won't face their enemy.
Okay.
They just leave innocent people up there whilst they hide in tunnels that are bigger than the London Underground. And they come out, they shoot, and it could be that many of them were shot and they were shooting in a battle. And it could be that there were bombs thrown by them and grenades. There could be a million different scenarios of why these were found. But remember, we're in the middle of all.
I just to clarify for me, if you would, how do they fight back with their hands tied behind their backs?
Well, we don't know what they were doing before their hands were tied behind their backs, do we?
No, but if you've managed to cable tie them, they shouldn't,
yes, and maybe,
shouldn't subsequently find them dead, should we?
And maybe, again, we're just conjecturing. Maybe his friend threw a grenade, and then what happens? Maybe there was a missile, maybe they threw a rocket, and then what happens? Again, this is conjecture. I wasn't there, you weren't there. We can't know. All I know is that our army has the highest...
Neither was Amnesty International, and they say there's at least two...
All right, so I don't know about you, but that was about as bulletproof a defense as I have ever seen. How could you possibly question such amazing logic? Like, yeah, sure, he died, but maybe he threw a missile. Maybe that happened.
Yeah, sure, he had both of his hands tied behind his back. But have you considered him having a gun and shooting with both of his hands tied behind his back? Have you considered that?
It's just like, I wish you guys could have seen Leah's reaction while this was going on. She was like having a seizure down there. But this is what I'm saying is like, it's so bad.
I'm so sorry, but you also just cut her before she was going to say, we have the most high moral standards of any army. Are you? I just. It is exactly what you're saying. Like their mask is not even slipping off; it has fallen to the ground, and they can't find it.
It's it's like they're not even trying to wear it. It's just like yeah.
They're like that's conjecture, actually.
Yeah, right. It's neither of us were there. We don't know what happened, but I am damn sure what happened. Either way, and it's the least plausible explanation that I can come up with, And it's like, this is what I point to is like, listen, I understand. I get it. I actually do. That a lot of people still think that, what the IDF is doing is this noble project to, defend it, because that's what they've been taught as their kids. I get it. However, you see something like that, fuck you. You still are defending this after that shit. Like that's, by the way, this is a government official. This isn't like some man on the street interview they found with someone who was unsuspecting it. She went on it was like a Sky News in Britain, like a national broadcast to defend this. And that's the best she could come up with. Like the best she could come up with. It's like,
and they keep on doing it over and over and over again. Like, they go on all these channels, they say the same things, and I'm like, it's not hitting like you think it is because you sound absurd. You sound like to any, and this is a classic back to that YouTuber that we're not going to name, but like he always says, like, that is to even the normies.
Mhm.
Their little antenna is going to go up and be like, wait, what did you just say? Like, I thought that the newscaster just said that they had their hands tied behind their backs. Now you're talking about throwing grenades. Like, even the normie who was fed all of that propaganda is going to be like, something seems a little bit off. Just something.
It just, the fact that she never missed a step. She's like, because he's like, listen, all these bodies are found, mass grave. How do you explain it? Well, I'm sure they were all terrorists who died in gunfights with Israel. Okay, some of them had their hands tied behind their back, and it got worse too. She didn't mention
Evidence,
how a lot of them
being buried alive.
Yeah, being buried alive. There were some like hospital patients with gowns and catheters. Like, you're telling, man, like, look, I know you guys say that Hamas, tries their best to blend in, but holy shit, you're telling me they put in a lot. They put in a lot of fucking work to make themselves look like helpless
Hook
patients
me up.
here. This just shows
I
that
want
Hamas
the gown where my butt's out. Like,
They-
that's
right, yeah,
I'm
it just-
committed. Like, no.
this just proves that Hamas is far more sinister than we even thought before. That's all there's to
And
say.
also
But-
the we've never seen anything like this before. Yes, you are right. We have never seen a genocide in real time to where I can pull up my phone and see firsthand accounts of the war crimes that your country is committing. You are correct. We've never seen anything like that before. Now, for you to say that no one has ever also fought against people who tunnel, I'm sorry. Where were you during World War I? Oh, right. Sorry, Israel didn't even exist then.
Exists in World War I. And also, I mean, yeah, they did exist during Vietnam. If I remember correctly, Vietnam vets talked about tunnels all the fucking time. And guess what? We didn't carp. Well, I guess we did carp.
Well, no, we did. We also committed war crimes.
Yeah,
But
to be
that's
fair,
the thing
yeah.
is, like,
It's
you're not unique in the sense that you think you are. You're not unique in being moral. You are just
No.
like every other big state that decides, well, they're not even that big, but big funded. You're like every other state that
Powerful
just
state.
decides
Mhm.
that it's going to commit war crimes and then it's going to get away with it. That's nothing new compared to what we've seen. It's just new because we can see it on our phones in real time.
Yes. It's to the point now that I think it's a lot bigger than like the college protests. That the college protests get the most eyeballs and everything, but we've been saying this for months now, but how the tide is shifting. Like, there is a segment of the population that's not going to move on it, and there's not.
Yeah.
But the more stuff that comes out, and the worse these explanations get, what I fear, what I almost would bank on this happening, is that eventually, I don't know how long it'll take, but eventually, most Americans are going to wake up. Kind of like what happened. It'll be a fast track version of what happened with the war on terror. That we all started out for it, and then 15 years in, we're like, okay, all right, this is fucked up, and we did a lot of bad stuff. Going to happen a lot quicker when it's somebody else. But what I think is going to happen is that we'll just end up blaming Netanyahu. He's going to take, the public image fall for this, and not the entire, the actual state, like the actual apparatus.
Yeah. I'm really worried about that. I think that we've been kind of starting to position that of like Biden's having tough conversations with Netanyahu behind the scene to kind of which is so big. If you actually were having tough conversations, you wouldn't be funding his actions. Like, but I think that that's one of the things that I worry about the most, is that it's going to be scapegoated into a few bad actors rather than the state that is built on being a settler colony, which inherently demands the destruction of the indigenous population. It's going to be like, oh, it's just one bad actor, instead of the project that defines their nation, which is settler colonialism. And that, to me, is like, we can't let it happen. And I think that I'm excited about the young people, because even in my circles, like back in 2021, when I made a pro-Palestine poster, which is still the one that's free to download on my website now. But when I made that, I got so much more backlash and resistance from left spaces, and just honestly no interest. Like, if it wasn't positive, then most of them just ignored it. And then the next step was just negative reactions. And to see the difference in terms of that to now gives me hope of the language, especially. Like, before in 2021, when you said Israel is an apartheid, that was like, pearl clutching, how could you? And now, like, I'm out here being like, looking at what's his face? Oh God, the presidential candidate, Dean Phillips. Now I'm looking at Dean Phillips and I'm just looking at him straight in his eyes and I'm like, huh, yeah, Israel is a settler colony theocratic ethno-state that's committing genocide. And like, that is vocabulary that we are all kind of holding on to. And I think that that does give me hope. But yeah, I definitely think that the propaganda machine is going to try and scapegoat Netanyahu, which is why he's so interested in for it to continue. As long as it's continuing, he is safe. The second that it stops, he's going to face repercussions from the rest of the West that doesn't want to take the responsibility of supporting his actions. So they're just going to blame him.
Yeah. Kimberly, if you could write in the comment there which great point you were referencing there. Leah always makes a ton of them, so it's hard to keep track of them. But it's like